Valley. Joining us now, CEO and managing partner of the Philadelphia Phillies, John Middleton. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Nice to be here. Thanks to all the fans.
So, CEO and managing partner, but also a fan. So
Fan first.
Fan first. So heading into this series against the Dodgers, would you describe how you feel as nervous or excited?
What would you put nauseous on you?
I think you.
Is that extreme nervousness?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think you're right there with us. Yeah. So I asked Dave Dombrowski this question when we had him on a couple of weeks ago, but I think it's appropriate for you as well. Everything that happens with the Phillies, you have to stamp and say yes. So you have a lot of control over what happens with the Phillies. But once the team hits the field, you have no control at all, right? They just have to win or lose.
They perform or not.
Yeah. How emotionally, how is that for you to have so much control until a point, and then the wins and losses are just completely out of your hands?
So a couple of things. One, Dave really has the control.
Sure.
I mean, do I approve things? Do we talk about everything? Yes.
Yep.
But, it's not like I listen to Dave and say, well, okay, that's who you want to start your pitching. No, here's who you're going to start.
Right.
That's never happened. It never will happen. If it does, I should be removed from office. So Dave makes those calls. I'm involved. I'm informed. We just 10, 15 minutes ago finished a conversation about what was going to happen. We hope, we expect. But, you get used to it. It's hard. This is my 9th postseason. It's difficult to let go and realize you have no power, no authority to do anything, no ability to influence anything. But you just have to, it's part of the job, and you have to get used to it and accept it. I remember talking to Ruben back like in 8 and 9 because he played, and he said, it's so different being on this side and not being, because he said when you're playing, you have things you have to do to get ready for the game. I mean, you have certain rituals, you have warming up and things like that. So he said you can think about how you can influence, get yourself ready, and then how you can influence the game. But up here, he said, you're totally out of control.
It makes me think of the scenes in Moneyball where Brad Pitt, who was playing Billy Bean during the games, would just go and lift weights to get rid of his anxiety.
Yeah, because you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
From 2012 to 22, we didn't have postseason baseball. And getting postseason baseball back here in 2022, I think for a lot of us, reminded us what Red October was like.
It's a pretty great run.
Yes, right? So when you're in it in 07 to 11 and you win a World Series and you go to 2, sometimes you think that's going to last forever, and then it doesn't. But then you don't have it for a while, and then it comes back. And I know, at least for me, there is a greater appreciation for where the baseball team and the organization is at right now, that you try to enjoy it a little more. What's that like for you being in this position?
So, I think what I find really exciting about where we are right now is that the mandate, when I was talking to Dave, and by the way, our conversation was, we had 2 conversations before I hired him. The first one was kind of for me to listen to him why he was saying no to everybody, and my explaining to him why his reasons for no didn't apply, at least in my opinion, to us. And then the second conversation was after he kind of did some checking within baseball, was when we actually hired him. That was literally a 5 to maybe 7 minute conversation. And he asked me, he said, what do you want me to do? And I said, it's pretty simple. I want you to win now, and I want you to win later. So you got to figure out between trading everybody away or trading no one away where you are at any point in time to help maximize winning now and winning later. And what Dave has done is build a really, really good organization around him. I'm just so impressed with what he's done, and he's done that on his own without me, so I can compliment him without, I'm not giving myself a compliment because I had nothing to do with it. He just hired these people, and they've done a great job. I mean, Brian Barber's done a terrific job with the draft, and Preston Mattingly, and now Luke Merton in the minor league development system, and we're really positioned well. I mean, we've got, we've traded some talent away the last couple of years. I hated to lose the 2 guys this year we traded to Minnesota because they were both really promising people. But we needed we needed him. And when you look down into the minor leagues, Dave felt that he could. He could replace them, that there were people coming up, and that in a year or two there would be some people who would replace them. And you can only do that with a really good organization. Pat Gillick told me the second day he was on the job that he said, really good organizations consistently put good teams on the field that consistently compete for the playoffs, often get in. And that's what Dave has done. He's built a really good organization that I think will keep us competitive for a long, long time. So I don't... the goal is to not be 5 years and then bust.
Right.
And I think when you look down at who our players are in the minor league system, you can see talent coming up, and not everybody develops. And even there are lots of hitters who hit 320 in AAA who hit 240 in the major leagues. So it's a huge jump. But I'm optimistic, and I'm really proud of Dave and his team for what this organization for what they've done.
How hard is it to not be impatient in those sort of situations when, the team has been so close over the last few years and that, I know ultimately you said it's Dave that makes those choices, but, you're always trying to balance, this year and the future. How difficult is it to find that right balance and to not get impatient?
Well, I think you have to remember, and it comes with experience, that you can push all the right buttons and have all the right players. And players you can even, there's two things they can go. The players may not play as well as they should, and it happens. And you look at like the 76, 77, 78 team, and then you go out and get Pete Rose, and you think, well, okay, they won the Eastern Division for 3 years, and they got Pete Rose, and what do? They went out and finished fourth in the division in 79. Now, they did win it in 80.
Yep.
But the point is, you go out and add players like that, and it doesn't necessarily mean, even if they perform, and Pete really performed well in 79, that you're going to win. But you also have risks of injuries. You have frankly bad calls that are made that maybe change an at bat, and the at bat changes an inning, and the inning changes the game, and the game changes the series. So when you look at it and think about, do I push all my chips in the middle of the table? The experience tells you you can do that, and you still aren't going to win.
Yep.
And look, I'm sure up in New York they're kind of scratching their heads and saying, how does a team that goes to the NLCS last year and adds Juan Soto, and he plays really, really well. He's one of the top 4, 5, 6 bats in baseball, and they don't make it. It happens. They have a lot of injuries to their pitching rotation, but you just can't predict, and you can't help. So you always have to be balanced, and I am impatient, and that's why I had no business talking to Dave and telling Dave what to do, because Dave is patient.
It really feels like...
you got to know your limitations.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So it really feels different. Last year had another stretch run. It was like I just hope they get in, flip the switch, and they're fine. This year, I think they cannot wait to get to the ballpark tomorrow. How much differently do you feel about this year's team versus last year's team at this time?
A lot, and that really has, I think, to do with two things. You touched on one. You look at the last, 4, 6, 8 weeks a year ago, and you look at the last couple of months with us, and it depends on where you want to draw or start the process. You can look at it post All-Star game. You can look at it August, September. You can look at it kind of post Zach Wheeler, being hurt. But we had the best winning record in the National League after Zach Wheeler went down. Think about that.
Crazy.
It's nuts. And so that's how good the team is, how deep it is, how resilient it is. And that's the other thing. I think this team is the toughest team I've seen since the 08 team, frankly, maybe 09 team. But it's just, they go up to Milwaukee and take 2 out of 3 there. They come down and they sweep the Mets in 4. And then they go out to L.A. and you don't have Zach, and you don't have Trey, and you don't have Alec, and you don't have Edmundo, and you don't have Jose. And by the way, we sat on the runway for 5.5 hours. We landed in L.A. at 4:40 Philadelphia time, got to the hotel at 5:40 Philadelphia time, went to bed at 6 o'clock, 6:15 Philadelphia time. And they get up with all those players missing, and they beat L.A. in L.A. And just to make, they come back the next day and beat them again. And that's I don't know that there's another of the 28 teams in baseball that could go out to LA with those 5 players missing from their staff and take 2 out of 3 from LA. That's a tough team. and they won. They kept coming back. The games were back and forth, and they just kind of gutted them out at the end. That's a tough team, and I have not seen that quality at that level in prior teams in this run.
You don't get that done without having someone with a steady hand that could steer this whole thing.
Well, that would be Rob.
And that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
I think it's been his best year as a manager. No disrespect to what he's done prior, but
I would agree. I don't know that he's going to get manager of the year, but in my opinion, when you look at the players that he had lost and stuff, Bryce was injured. He was out for like almost a month and came back, and his right wrist was still sore and whatnot. He's done a spectacular job, I think, of keeping the team on an even keel, keeping them motivated, juggling the bullpen. I mean, we've had troubles there. Jose was missing for half the season. Romano was up and down and then injured. But he's just kept plugging away and kept the team focused and playing at a consistently high level. It's the most consistent I've seen the Phillies play since the 11 team by far.
The goal, obviously, as you have stated, is to bring the trophy back here to win a World Series. Baseball is a weird sport in that the best team doesn't always win the World Series, and it's very hard to build a team much, much better than the other good teams. So putting a World Series aside, how do you, at the end of the year, say to yourself whether this was a successful season or not?
I think if you don't win, you have to look at why you didn't win and try to then, because I think the answer to that question really leads to the answer to your question. Mm-hmm. My father's standard that he started hammering into my head when I was 7 years old was that, no one has the right to expect you to do more than to try your very best, but you should always be giving your very best. And, I think if you can look in the mirror and say, look, we did everything we could, there's a difference between not achieving your goals and failing. And I think you can not achieve your goals but not have failed.
You guys have some pretty big free agents coming up. Kyle Schwarber, I don't know if you've heard of it. Ranger Suarez, JT Realmuto, all fan favorites. Bader as well, another fan favorite very quickly. When you're making those decisions in the offseason, and I mentioned fan favorites, does fan sentiment come into play at all? And if so, how much?
For the most part, it doesn't and it can't.
Right.
Because if you you might as well just open up a Google poll and just say,
right.
Do we re-sign this guy or not? Yes or no, and count the votes at the end of 24 hours or 48 hours.
Right.
But more to the point is, if you do your job properly and you let somebody go and you bring somebody in, and they perform, fans respect that, understand that, and they'll accept that person. I think actually Luzardo's a perfect example of that. I mean, we didn't get Crochet a year ago at the trade deadline. Got really, really close. Still can't believe they turned down our offer, but they did. Didn't get him in the offseason. And so Dave pivoted and brought in Luzardo, and he's pitched really, really well.
Yeah.
And not that people will say, well, we didn't need Crochet. We did, but we found somebody else.
Yep.
And that's what you have to do.
Was there a point when Kyle Schwarber just kept hitting the home runs when you were like, okay, enough?
No, never.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, the more home runs he hits, the better our chances are to win.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what it's about, winning. And you pay whatever price you have to pay.
I love your authenticity when it comes to being a fan, and it's relatable to the fans, and that seems to be very important to you. Obviously, you got paying customers and that sort of thing, but it's more than that with you, and it's genuine, and I think fans recognize that. But having that relationship also seems to be important to you. Why is that important to you, that you seem to be out there able to be touched by your fans and by the people who pay for the tickets to come in?
Well, I guess the first thing is I like people. I mean, I like talking to people, I like being around people. My grandmother's favorite adage was, "You're no better than anybody else, but you're second to none." It's another way of saying, we're all equal. That, you're no better than anybody else, but you're also, nobody else is better than you are. Right. And that's, I've always learned that. I learned that from the time I was a little kid. In my prior work experiences, we had factories, we had hotels. It didn't matter what your job was. You're no better. The guys who were who were sweeping the factory floors had the same health care benefits that my father and I had. They had the same bonus plan my father and I had. We just treated everybody equally, and it's been important. And in my life, it was important to my father and my grandfather, and I could see how people reacted to them growing up, and they liked them, and so I just tried to model myself after the two of them. And it means a lot to me. I love walking around the stands. Fans remind you what your job is and why it's important. It's easy if you hang out in your office, you sometimes can lose sight of that. But when you go out into the stadium or you're just walking around the streets of Philadelphia and they talk to you, if you stop and take the time to talk to them, they'll remind you what I'm supposed to be doing and why I'm supposed to be doing it. And it gets you excited when you see their excitement about the team, the players, their aspirations. It feeds on itself, and it's really good for me.
Yeah, and off that, just we don't get to talk to you that often. Like it's so refreshing hearing you talk. And we talk about how with this team, we want to win a title, not only for us. Like obviously fans want a title, but you want Bryce to have that moment.
Absolutely.
You want Bryce to have a parade down Broad Street. You want Zach Wheeler, everything he's gone through, to have a World Series title. But I think that you are also in there too, where you've invested a lot in this team. And I think you've helped bring this team into the 21st century. And I think this city wants you to get a ring as well.
Wow.
And
that's nice.
And what does that mean to you? From like what would winning a title mean to you?
So I guess it was Bob Nightingale who asked me we were out in Arizona, a similar question. They asked, and I said, Bob, in my professional life, what I'm doing right now is the single most important thing I've ever done. It's the most important challenge I've ever had. It would be the most rewarding accomplishment if we're able to do what I want to do. So that's what it means. It's kind of everything.
It's your legacy.
What's that?
It's your legacy.
Yeah, it is. And I said that to him. I said, all the things I've done before, I said, it pales in comparison. Yeah. I said, if anybody, including my great-great-grandchildren, are going to remember me 50 or 100 years from now, it's going to be because of what I do here, not what I did before.
Amen. Amen.
You mentioned convincing Dave Dombrowski to come here, and we all followed I remember the Bryce Harper situation. We were all following your plane going out to Las Vegas. So when you are trying to sell someone on not just the Phillies but Philadelphia, when you're selling someone on that, whether it be Dave Dombrowski or Bryce Harper, what is that? Like, what is the sell on the organization? What is the sell on being here?
So I have always felt that when you're interviewing people, and the better the person you're interviewing, the more they're interviewing you too.
Right.
I'm selling myself, I'm selling the organization, but I really have to if I'm the leader, they're looking at me and saying, why do I want to hitch my wagon to your star? What are you going to do that makes this a good decision for me to join you? And so that's what I do. And part of that is just being authentic and trying to be honest with them. You can't sugarcoat things. If there's problems, you got to tell them about it. And then you need to tell them how you think they can help you solve those problems. That's all I try to do, frankly.
You've been in this specific position with the Phillies since 2016, and the organization's in a really good spot right now. When you look back on this portion, what are you most proud of, and is there anything that you'd like to have back?
Well, I'm most proud of the way the organization has developed over the last 10 years. And that's both certainly on the baseball side. I talked about that earlier in the interview, but on the business side too. We are a much, much better business team than we were 10 years ago. And we've added great talent, just the way Dave's added it. And people like Preston and Sam Fold, we've added it on the business side. And I'm proud of that because it's the organization that will carry you into the future. I mean, I'm not, neither Dave nor I can do everything, and we don't have any intentions of even trying to do that. So you have to work through other people, and you're only as strong as your weak links in business, and so that's what I'm really most proud of.
Well, before we let you go, the guy in the end there, Jack. I don't know how well you know Jack. Jack is the biggest Phillies fan I've ever met in my whole life. He's so tense during games we can't even be near him. He hosts this giant Phillies podcast. He was part of the standing ovation for Trey. And I'm not asking, I'm just lobbying my support. I feel like one day Jack should throw out a first pitch.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think we can do that.
And he's got a good arm. We saw him strike out our morning show host like 6 times a few weeks ago. He can throw 80.
Seriously?
He might
throw 80?
Yeah.
78 and
I
up.
think it's 65.
Come on, man. Come on, man. I used to sit 82 to 84. Everyone knows that.
He's got a big arm, so I'm just lobbying my support because I need to see Jack. And if he bounces it up there, we get to hold that over his head for the rest of his life.
And that's not a bad thing either.
No.
That's not a bad result.
So not only do we thank you for your time today, but, Ike mentioned, for a lot of years here, we didn't have this. At this part of the year, we weren't thinking about the Phillies anymore. We were thinking about the Eagles. And now it's really nice to have to balance, our schedules around playoff baseball.
You got 2 playoff games sandwiched around a football game on Sunday.
Yep.
It's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah.
Said he's going to be tired.
Yeah. You got to remember, I was there back, I'm just saying, 80.
Yep.
I mean, in the spring, people are going to playoff games with the Flyers and the Sixers and then coming over to the Vet. And then in the fall, they were coming to the Vet and then leaving to go watch a football game later that day. I mean, it was spectacular. It was great.
Well, I guess thank you. I know it takes a village and it is an entire organization, but it doesn't happen with you leading the charge. And we're so excited to not just cheer on the team, but to be Phillies fans and celebrate if they win and be mad as hell when they lose. But it's good to feel something.
Well, also we all feel really good come mid-November.
Yes, would love that. Would love that.
That's what we're going for.
All right. Well, let's get another parade. We just had one, but we're due. We feel due. So,
all right.
Thank you so much. There he is, John Middleton.
Thank you, guys.
CEO and managing partner of the Philadelphia Phillies.